Thank you, our programmer, Mr. Rogers. And as we start, our key text is from the book of James 1 verse 12. The book of James 1 verse 12. Maybe you can read it there.
Okay, I'm getting there.
In the book of James,
chapter 1 verses
1 verse 12.
12 says that, so speak and so do as those who will be judged by the law of liberty. For judgment is without mercy to the one who has shown no mercy. Mercy triumphs over judgment.
Hey, sorry, which book is that one? It's from the book of James 1:12. James.
Oh, I've read 2:12. I'm very sorry. 12 says
1:12.
Yeah, 1:12 says, blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him.
Okay, thank you. Except that is the text. And our topic this evening, I used to entitle it Withstanding Trials or Temptations. And as you have heard from that key text, it says that blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. So this text is encouraging us tonight that blessed is the man who endured trials. And when we talk of trials, I'm sure nobody is immune to trials. As human beings or as mortal beings, we know that no one of us is immune from this trial, our temptation. We might be righteous in our spiritual life or in our general life, but despite being righteous, we are told that we are bound to face this trial and temptation as the sun is shining to the whole world. The sun can select that it should shine to those who are righteous and not to those who are unrighteous, but to all people or humanity alike. So the same appears into this trial which is facing humanity. We might have been Christian for a while or for a long time, and there are those who are not Christians, but we are told that all of us, we are facing this trial. This because we are humans, and we are living in the world of sin. Despite us living in this world of sin, we all know that despite being in this world, we know that this world is not our home. We are on transit. And as we continue, I'm going to maybe to put it in a more understandable way. I'm going to make an illustration from the book of Job. If you can read from the book of Job 1 verse 1, it talks about a certain great man of his time. And this man was called Job. It says, maybe you can read from the book of Job 1:1. The book of Job 1:1.
Okay. Just there.
It says,
the book of Job 1. Okay, sure.
It says, there was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, and one who feared God and shunned evil.
Okay, as you have heard from that book, this man, he was a great man in the land of Uz,
sure,
and whose name was Job. And we are told that this man was blameless and upright, and one who feared God and shunned evil. So if you can check or if you can compare, as you have heard from that text, this means that Job was actually a person who was, I can say he was exemplary of his time, to the extent that the heavens could acknowledge that there was a man in earth named Job, in the land of Uz. We are told that this man, despite being upright despite being blameless and upright, in his spiritual life, and he feared God and shunned evil. We are also told that this man was very rich. As you can read from verse 3, it says, also this man, also his possession was 7,000 sheep. He had 7,000 sheep. Let me start from verse 2. It says, and 7 sons and 3 daughters were born of him. So we are told that this great man named Job had 7 sons and 3 daughters.
Sure.
And also, not only that one, he also, and his possessions were 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camel, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large household. So that this man was the greatest of all the people of the East.
Sure.
I'm sure we are together up there.
Sure.
So as you can see that this man named Job was not only affluent, or was not only affluent and rich and was not only affluent or upright in his spiritual life, but also we are told that this man has material possession, which I am sure in our times, if it was at our time as per now, you could say that this person, as the people they call it sonko, yani tajiri wa kupindukia.
Yeah.
Alikuwa tajiri wa kupindukia wakati wetu.
Sure.
So this man, actually, I'm sure it's through the favor of God, or it's through the favor of God because of his uprightfulness and blameless life that God actually decided to place this man, to give him everything, which was worthy of human beings at their time. This shows that God actually is gracious. When we are faithful to God, He is gracious to give us everything. Sometimes we are worried of what could happen. Sometimes when we are called to live a Christian life, we normally have some worries. What could happen? Maybe you used to do your business, or maybe a way of living. But when that normally you are shunning to accept Christ because you are worried, what could happen if I gave my life to Christ? My business could be interfered or could be interrupted, and I could lose a lot. But we are told that, but through this story of Job, we are told that Job was a very righteous man, and through his righteousness, God blessed him with everything, which was worthy of human beings at that time, and also at our time. And then we are told that by God giving him all that richness, which we have seen that he was actually complete, because he have children and he have all this wealthy possession. But we are told that at one time, as verse 8 it says, then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, no one who fears God and shun evil. So as we proceed with this story, we see that it reached an extent whereby even Satan himself was able to notice that there was a man who was righteous in the land of Uz, the extent that he was going actually to tempt Job, and God did not hesitate to give him a go ahead, as long as he will not touch his soul or his life. And we are told that Job, a man who fears God, wealthy, full of integrity and righteousness, altogether approved and testified by God himself, was faced with terrible tragedy. So when God approved or accepted, and he gave Satan permission to tempt Job, as long as he spared his life. So one time we are told that Job, this righteous man, faced a great tragedy in his life, whereby he lost all he had in a single day, except his life. That we get that one from verse 13, whereby it says that now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and a messenger came to Job and said, the ocean Oxen who were, we are told they were blowing, were raided by probably the enemies, and they were killed. They have and the servant were killed. They took the auctions and the oxen and they killed the servants. Whereby one of them went and reported the incident. As if that was not enough, in verse 16 it says, while he was still speaking, another also came and said, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned all the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you. So we have this the second tragedy, whereby it says that the fire of God fell from heaven and burned all the sheep. We are told that the sheep were 7,000 when we were introducing this wealth. There were 7,000, but the fire of God fell and consumed them all. That's the second tragedy. The third tragedy, we are told that while he was still speaking, another also came and said, the Chaldeans formed 3 bands, raided the camels, and took them away. Yes, and killed the servants with the edge of the sword. And I alone have escaped. So these are the camels who are raided and killed. So you can see that the wealth which God has placed, which has God placed Job with, also with these servants, have been killed. And while he was still speaking, another also came and said, your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And suddenly a great wind came from across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they were dead. And I alone have escaped to tell you. So I can say this actually the hardest black or the hardest tragedy that Job faced. But as you have seen, he has lost his animals, his servants, and it was paining. But to make worse of it all is whereby in verse 19 we are told that he lost while his sons and daughters were feasting. We are told that a wind came from across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, whereby the house fell and destroyed all the children of Job. There were 7 children, and all of them died. You can imagine such strategies befalling just one man, and we are told that this, and you can see as per the sequence, these are actually a span of a single day, not just the next day or the following day. It's just in a single day, all this happening. I'm sure as human being, even you can tempt to question God, why me as humanity, or you can say it's too much to bear. So it's following in that sequence, following them. But we are told that in all this, in verse 22, it says that in all this, Job did not sin nor charge God with wrong. Yani, Job hakumlaumu Mungu kwa yote hayo. Now Job is not only grieving over the tragedy, but also mark that he was also facing, he was also under pressure from Satan himself and from his own wife and friends, because it reached a point whereby his wife told him it's better to cast this God and die. But we are told that Job was steadfast, and with all this, we are told that Job did not sin nor charge God with evil. Hakumlaumu kwa yote hayo, because he knew that he says that he came naked from his mother's womb, and naked shall he return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. So, facing all these challenges, we are told that Job did not curse the name of God, or to not charge God with any wrong, but he actually acknowledged that God gave it, and because I've taken it and placed it is his name. And then Satan was looking forward to seeing Job cursing God. His wife too had told him to do likewise, and his friend had come to judge him and mock him. But we are told that Job kept his integrity. He never lost his integrity. And we are told that Job didn't make a decision because of the pressure, but he made a decision with a purpose. For he said, I know that God can do all things, and that no purpose of God can be prevented or can be thwarted, as you can read from the book of Job 42 verse 2. And then we are told that we can all be in the same situation. All of us, we can all be in the same situation, whereby we can face different challenges in our lives. We are, as I was starting, I say that none of us is immune to these challenges. So to one point or one time, we can be in the same situation. Are you sending me there? Are we together there?
Yeah, sure, we are.
Okay. Okay, I'm saying that some finalizing. We are told that none of us is immune to these challenges or this trial of our daily lives. I'm sure in a world scale, we are facing this pandemic of this deadly corona disease. And many of us are crippling with fear of what is going to face the world. All men, great men, small, in prisoners or free or alike, are trembling, and the hearts are trembling because of fear of what is going to befall this world. I'm sure my brother Rogers, there, you could have finished his studies now. It could be at a certain level, but your heart also is falling in fear. What is becoming this world? What will become this world at the end of it all? My brothers there, others actually others are struggling and are trembling because many of them might have lost their job, and others have lost their job, and also others are struggling because of difficulties of this life. Others have to support their families, but they can't because of difficulties of this life. Other young men also could have, or maybe are planning to marry, and then they are now wondering what could become of this.
Sure.
But we are told that God is very faithful. God is faithful, and He knows what is befalling us at this time. But we have to trust Him in all our endeavors. That's why normally we are told that we may plan many things as human beings, but God has the final say. God has the final say. Because I'm sure in many times we do make some New Year resolution, but I'm sure if you can ask each and every one of us, there is none who needs resolution of when this year started. There is none of us who maybe brought them something that at a certain point his resolution could be interrupted because of this pandemic. Sure. Because we made our plans. But I'm sure through this challenge or this disease, we have come to learn that we may make our plans, but God has have the final say. So through this disaster and through these challenges and trials, I'm sure we have learned that as we make our plans, let's put God first, so that He may be ahead of us and He may guide us and He may see us through. So in the book of, also we are going to read from the book of Second Timothy 4 verse 8. Maybe you can read for us the book of 2 Timothy 4 verse 8. As
2 Timothy chapter 4 verses 8.
4 verse 8, yeah.
Nasema inasema finally there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to me on that day, and not to me only, but also to all who have loved his appearance.
Amen.
Thank you. So we are told that in the midst of all these challenges that we are passing, we are told that we can all be in the same situation, but always let's remember that the Bible promises us that blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to them who love him. So we are told that as we endure this trial and temptation, there is actually that price which God has put before us. And we are told that it's not us alone, but also to all of us who, from that book, it says,
Who have loved his appearance.
not to us alone, but for also those who have loved
Disappearing.
His appearance.
who have loved his appearance. So I'm sure we are many and we are together as we struggle with these challenges here and there. Let's put up that at one time all will be through, and actually will have that crown which God has preserved for us. So my dear brothers and sisters, let's endeavor to remain faithful in the midst of these challenges. I'm sure at the end of it all will be purified, as we are told that a pure gold must pass through a furnace of fire.
Sure.
So at this time, we never know. Our furnace of fire may not be that literal fire which we know, but our fire may be through this pandemic, or maybe our fire may be through sicknesses, or our furnace of fire may be through different challenges that we are facing in our daily lives.
Sure.
And we are told that after passing on through those challenges, we'll never remain the same again. We'll be strengthened, and we'll be actually met in a position, and whereby we'll be able to renew our relationship with Christ, and we can know Him at a personal level. Because I'm sure we at this time, many of us have a lot of time, which in the previous, which at earlier times we never had. We were very busy with job and everything else, but that we could do.
Sure.
We had even no single time for study of the scripture. But through this pandemic, actually also we have got that time whereby we could reevaluate our life with Christ, and we commit ourselves to Christ more than before. So with those few remarks, my brothers and sisters, I could encourage you that let's stay steadfast in Christ, and let's press on. For we know that it's normally said that the darkest time of the day is near dawn. So we never know, maybe the following step or the next step after this darkness will be our salvation will be nearer than when we first believe.
Sure.
So with those few remarks, I request that we may have a prayer from my lovely wife here. Let's believe and pray.
Great.
Let's pray. Our ever living Father, what in heaven, we are before this our God. We thank you, Jehovah Lord, for you being with us. Thank you, Lord, for you've given us a message, a wonderful message that no matter what we've passed through in life, sometimes we are down in the valley, but you are there with us. Like Job, Lord, who lose everything, dear God, but at the end of the day, dear Lord, you doubled it for him, dear Lord. Almighty Father, you know us, we are weak, dear Lord. Without you, we'll not be able to stand like Job, dear Lord. Be with us, work with us, and stand with us to the end, dear Lord. And if there is anything we've done against thy will, dear Lord, we pray that you may forgive us, Father Lord. For we pray this night, we have our brothers and sisters who have different challenges of life as well, dear Lord. Almighty Father, you may see them through, that they may see those challenges as a strengthening a strength and a stepping stone for them, dear Lord. Father, Lord, we thank you and we honor you, for you promise humanity that you are there with us all through, dear God. Stand with us to the end, for we pray this, believe and trust in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank
Okay.
you.